Okay, let me just take a look at the YouTube feed on my phone.
Good to go, Joe?
Let me just make sure I can see it before we.
Is it possible to also share the agenda on the feed so people can see it? If that's too much, forget my request.
I can, but give me a second.
No problem.
Okay, now let me get Zoom back up. Ah, there it is. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'm just hitting record. We're ready to go.
I call the Ordinances Rules Committee to order and ask the clerk to take the roll.
Yes. Counselor Darcy.
Present.
Counselor Dunn.
Present.
Counselor Harris.
Present.
Counselor LeBlanc.
Present.
Chairman McLaughlin.
Present.
All members are present, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Councilor LeBlanc moves approval of the minutes from February 3rd, 2020. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Councilor Harris moves approval of the minutes from March 2nd, 2020. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk, do we have any new matters?
There are no new matters.
So are there any matters that any of the members of the Ordinances and Rules Committee would like to take from the table? One of the questions that I wanted to talk through with the clerk and the members of the committee had to do with deadline, especially for the special permits. And I believe he has some information to share with regard to the state of emergency that the Commonwealth is currently in. The clerk?
Yeah, the legislature did pass a bill that deals with special permits and basically all the 40A items that are on a clock. I know the law departments looked at what that means for us.
So
it's chapter 53 of the Acts of 2020.
So a couple of things. One is if one of the members of the committee would make a request that the clerk forward that to the rest of, Councilor Darcy moves that the clerk forward that information to the rest of the committee. All those in favor on that request, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
The ayes have it. So, Mr. Clerk, if you can forward that language to us. That being said, I think I'd also like to request from those petitioners that were concerned about a lapse in time, even though we're covered by the changes in the state law. I'd like to have them submit extensions. Any discussion on that? So, Mr. Clerk, if you can reach out to them, I mean, they know their timelines. I think, actually, if you can just take a moment and refresh my memory on who if any, have responded to the opinions from the law department?
So far, the only response we got was a draft order was submitted by the petitioner on Russell Street, 94 Russell Street, because they had not submitted an order with their original filing. So they have now responded to that by sending an order. So if you authorize me to, I can send that to Attorney Azadi.
Okay, so Councilor Dunn moves that the draft order sent by the petitioner for 94 Russell Street be sent to the law department for review. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So, Mr. Clerk, if you can send that draft order to the law department, that'll cover us there. The other three, and again, I don't have 790 Main Street. What's the-
790 Main Street, they have received the opinion from the law department and they are working on their responses.
We talked about Russell Street. What was the 1017, 1019 Main Street?
They have received the opinion from the law department and they're working on their responses.
And then the last one was 17, 790, 1017. Oh, is it Williams and Felton Street?
Yeah, there's a number of addresses on that one. The same situation, they have received the opinion and are working on their responses.
Okay, so if we can, and again, we're covered by the changes in the law, but I'd be more comfortable if we keep to our regular routine of, having them submit an extension for approval by the council. So if you could take care of that, I would appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Any other matters? That the
Yes,
committee would
Mr.
like to,
Chairman.
Councilor LeBlanc.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to take the matter dated 11/12/2019 off the table.
Fuel storage permit resolution.
That is correct.
You've heard a sense of the motion to take this matter from the table. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Councilor LeBlanc.
Thank you very much. Through you to the clerk of the committee, I believe, and you can correct me where I'm wrong or refresh my memory, I think we were waiting for an update from Deputy Grant as far as his recommendations. Did we send that request in writing and did we receive any response?
I sent a request and a follow-up, but he's been unable to get to it so far.
Okay, understood. All right. Make a motion to lay that matter back on the table.
Before you do, Councilor, Mr. Clerk, when was the last time we reached out to Deputy Grant?
I emailed him 2 weeks ago and I called him on the phone last week, but he hadn't been able to formulate his recommendations yet.
Okay, so so you talked to him, you spoke to him last week, so I don't think we need to send another request. Okay, you've heard a sense of the motion to lay the matter back on the table. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Any other matters that any of the committee members would like to take from the table?
I could take one more quickly, Mr. Chairman.
Sure, go ahead, Councilor.
Resolution dated 4/8/2019. It's resolution exempting municipal projects from zoning.
4/8/2019. Let me see here. Resolution exempting municipal projects from zoning. You've heard a sense of that motion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Council, you have the matter taken from the table.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have, my memory serves me correctly, I think we were going to have Attorney Azadi in to do a review and be able to ask any questions, from the committee members. Do you think, and it's a question for Mr. Chairman, do you think it's pertinent at this time to ask Attorney Azadi into one of the future meetings, or should we hold off until a further date?
Two things. I think that our next committee meeting, we're going to have several of the special permit matters to go through at the next meeting. I don't think there's any harm in requesting that she come into a future meeting, and that we'll work that out with the clerk if the committee thought that was a good way to approach this.
Mm-hmm. All right, then I'll make that request that Attorney Azadi attend a future meeting that we work out. I know we're going through with the COVID and the Zoom meeting, so at a date that it's convenient, and then we can have a little time to discuss this. So I'll make that request to the clerk.
You've heard a sense of the request. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
I could put,
Go ahead, Council LeBlanc, to pass.
I can put that in writing, and then if there's no discussion on it, I'll move to lay that matter back on the table.
That's great. Thank you. You've heard a sense of the motion to lay the matter back on the table. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Any other matters that any councilors would like to address at this time? Just one more question back to the clerk. Mr. Clerk, are there any other deadlines that we're looking at that we need to have on the radar as far as upcoming meetings? Outside of those special permit deadlines we talked about?
None that I can think of, but the parking at gas stations.
And
We did get a law opinion back on that, and I think that deadline may still hold. I don't know if it applies to where that's not a constructive grant. It may die if you don't act in time, and I believe we have until the end of May to act on that. And we got a law opinion back on 410.
Yep.
I think Attorney Azadi sent it out. So you have until, you have at least one more meeting. I'm trying to think of is there a meeting before May 24th? You might have two more meetings.
Yeah, there's at least one before the 24th.
There's at least one. Let me look at
May
my calendar.
24th is the last day to act on that matter. I know I'm still digesting that opinion on that.
Yeah, so Mr. Chairman, May 24th is a Sunday. So if you had to, you could act on it May 25th, but you do sort of, run into an issue if we don't get to it.
Right. So I think we still have time for that. Any other matters from the committee? Councilor Harris moves that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? I thank you all and look forward to meeting with you remotely again.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thank you,
Good
Council.
night.
Thank you, Madam Vice
Be
President.
safe. Bye.
Good night.